Hello my lovelies, welcome back to this little wild studio of mine. This week we're going to do some sketching. You can use plain or graphite. I'm going to be using the Faber-Castell Pitt graphite mat, one of my very favourite supplies. And we're going to be honouring Polar Bear for International Polar Bear Day, which was the 27th of February. When I found this little reference, it actually brought me to tears. It's really very touching. And I think that shows our desire to be connected to the wild so much more than we are, recognizing that we are actually a part of the wild and that there are these beings who are utterly precious and deserve our protection and who are suffering. So we're going to do a relatively simple little sketch. It's just a tiny one. It's a little polar bear cub standing between her mum's feet. And it's absolutely adorable. And I think it provides a beautiful way to connect to polar bear. As always, everything I teach is about connection, not perfection. So we aren't going for photorealistic. We're in our sketchbook, we're playing, we're having fun, we're connecting, we're being curious, and we're being compassionate to ourselves as well. So I hope that you'll pick up your sketchbook, a couple of pencils, and come and sketch with me. If you enjoy this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. That means that I can keep making these videos for you. And as always, the full tutorial is inside Hedgerow. We would love to have you there. All right, shall we begin? Hello my loves. Today we are going to just do a very simple graphite sketch to honour International Polar Bear Day, which was the 27th. What I'm doing here is I'm just trying to figure out whereabouts I actually want to have this image that I've found, and around about how much space I want to give it. And I'm going to pop down some washi tape to help me guide that. Yeah, so the 27th of February is International Polar Bear Day. And of course, I think most of us know that these incredible creatures are critically endangered, that it's all due to climate change, human impact, and that there are things that we can do to prevent it as nations, but as individuals, you know, it's almost impossible. We're not able to make the systemic change that government and large corporations can make. What we can do is continue to see them, to honour them in ways that we can, with our creativity, with our voice. We can strive to let our governments and, our governments primarily, realise that they are important to us, and keep sharing their voice, keep sharing their song, their tale, so that they are more present in the minds of everybody. It's quite small, isn't it? That's fine, we can do small. All right, I have an adorable image here of a polar bear cub. Oh, throwing my pencil around. Standing between the legs of an adult. Now, I did double check. I'm pretty certain it's not AI. There's lots of things to check for with that. But it is really adorable, really heartwarming, because they are really tiny little beings when they first come into the world. And so always, my sketching, my art making is about honouring these wild beings. It's about seeing them and using my hands and my eyes and my heart to create something that can be a way for others to connect to them as well. So this is a highly connective process to me. Always about connection, not perfection. But it's also about sharing that connection with others who might view it as well. I just want to make sure I get those feet in. So the cub might be a little bit larger, yeah, but looking at the reference, I've given you the reference here somewhere as well, or a link to it at least. It is in black and white. It is a dark photo, so we will need to build up lots of dark values. But as always, I'm beginning with a very rough sketch that is looking at the biggest shapes that I can see first. And I want to see, for example, where the feet are in relationship to the body of the cub. I actually think I've got that pretty close straight off the bat, which is nice. I think the head might need to be just a little bit bigger. So of course you can use a grid method or you can trace. Whatever feels good for you. I really encourage you to learn to scratch from sketch because I think it's a really powerful learning to undertake. It means that you have such a sense of freedom about what you can accomplish and where. And not only that, I think that it really helps to train that connective element. Yeah, I mean, you can't help but see the being more, and the more we see, the more we see. That's always what I say, always and always. The more you see, the same as the more you do, the more you understand. So these are the very darkest areas I can see. I want to get those really dark areas in front of my mind first. You're going to hear lots of birds out in the yard. There's a red wattle bird at the moment making a lot of noise. Okay, I'm just going to push that back a little bit. What do I mean when I say that? What I'm doing is it's kind of like using a great big paper stump and just giving myself some space around some of those early marks, but having the intention and understanding that this is the basic map of what I'm doing. So we all know that polar bears are the biggest bear on Earth. What I didn't know, I mean, they can be massive. The males can be up to 800 kilos. I can't even fathom. That is just enormous. Imagine coming face to face with one. But what I didn't know, something I didn't know, was that they can actually breed with brown bears. I didn't realise they were closely enough related to be able to do that. I've never heard of it, so that's what Wikipedia is telling me, which is very interesting. They are also, they live out on the ice. I think I started with that. So they eat primarily other marine mammals that also live out there, seal, etc., seal, penguin. And there's a huge disparity between the size of females and males. Males are much bigger, much more, it's sexual dimorphism in the bears. So the males are much, much bigger and can be quite aggressive towards females and they're young, reminding us that, nature can be really hard sometimes. So I'm trying to figure out whereabouts these eyes are going to go. So I'm looking I know that it's about another third down the face from the ears, so that's here somewhere, which means I might not have some other bits in the right place, so that's okay. This is what these early sketchy scribbles are about, is finding the places of things. I try not to use my eraser too much, particularly in these beginning stages. Afterwards, go for it. But this is an opportunity to just really concentrate on the reference and focus on that rather than worrying that every single little mark you put down is incorrect in some way. So if I can minimize the disruption to my pencil moving around, then if it is going to flow a lot better than it would otherwise. Okay, I'm using the Faber-Castell Pitt Graphite Matte for a couple of reasons. I love them. I really like them a lot. I still love regular graphite too, don't get me wrong. But particularly for teaching, they have much less glare. so it's much easier for me to film using them. And the other reason I love them is that they're so dark. They just get so much blacker than you can with regular graphite. Even a 9B in regular graphite just can't get quite as dark. So I love that for the dramatic part of, you know, references like these, particularly where they're very dark. And to be able to do that with minimal shine is really nice. I always think of drawing like an apprenticeship. You have to go through many years of learning and trial and error and being taught, either self-taught or through a traditional teaching method, through online learning, whatever. You have to go through multiple years of that in order to start to find the confidence and build your skill set and do some of the mindset work that comes with being a creative in a modern world. And it's absolutely worthwhile doing as well, to remember that you are worthy of a creative outlet, and indeed that, you know, you make the world a better place by bringing your light into it, by bringing your creativity into it, sharing it with us, or choosing not to. And that's why I love a sketchbook practice too, because it can be just for you, it can be something you share, it can be both. So now I want to get those really dark darks. Again, I'm not pressing hard. I want to just use the weight of the pencil, a little bit of gravity, and some direction. This drawing is really going to be about building up lots of layers. I'm going to go in with a 6B now. This is where I remind you to pop your eyebrows down. Take a big deep breath and release. Put your shoulders down. And just really enjoy this process, knowing that at this point in time you are using a piece of pigment wrapped in what was once trees, scraped against something else that was once plants or trees. And you are honouring Polar Bear, who you may never have met and who you may never meet, but who you adore nevertheless, and who you want only good things for, and who you want to preserve and protect. So think of your drawing in this way as an act of reciprocity. Let's do a little bit of this babe and let's see where we're at then. So even though they are the lightest part of this drawing, they're not, maybe here is really white, really light. So none of it is white, none of it is pure white. And again, we're thinking about form, so roundedness. What do I need to do to make their ear look round so there is more shadow underneath? Their little face stands out a bit more because their body is in more shadow. In here is quite dark. This little toe pushed up against mum's, which is really sweet, and tiny little toes this way. In here is quite dark, coming out of his legs, coming out of the shadow. following the fur line around. And let's have a look at this little face. So I want to make sure I'm getting the eyes in the right area first. So I'm actually going to lay down some of the shadow that's between the eyes. And then I'm wanting to look all of the time at the different shapes of the different aspects of the eye. They're not a round eye from our viewpoint. Of course the eye itself is round, but what we're seeing is not. Because it's all within the ocular cavity and the musculature and bone around eyelids. So this second eye, I know that people are often challenged by the second eye. Try and look at it where it is in relation to the other eye, but also in relation to somewhere else. So I can see that the edge of the eye, if I go straight up, comes to just outside the ear. So I know that if I finish here somewhere, that's going to be right. So find other areas that you can put into relationship with whatever piece of anatomy is giving you a bit of a hard time. And then the side of the face is quite dark, down to this little nostril, this little nose rather, nostril. Go slow, just really enjoy the process. Talk to your little bear. The little lump that comes outside of the eye, at the top of the eye there. Now these eyes are very, very dark. There's not a catch light on them. You get to decide as the artist if that's what you want or if you would like to add a little catch light. I'm going to try with a catch light first and see what happens. Now I want to think about where I want to put that. I think that I want to put it, I can see that there is more light coming this way than there is this way, right? So I'm going to put it on the outer part of this eye, which means it'll be further in on this eye. So you can see that we've got a little being appearing now, but they are actually too light still, which sounds funny, but they are. So we want to look at what do we do next? What do we build up? I know I want to leave quite a lot of lightness at the top of the head here and darken up those eyes. And I don't want the highlight to be like white. So I'm going to darken that just a little bit too. And this little nose, which we don't see much definition on, inside the legs here. And that's better already, isn't it? It feels more congruent with what else is happening. And I feel like this is such a sweet little drawing. So you don't have to spend a huge amount of time making art. You can make art in the margins. You can make something that feels really connective and gentle and loving in, an hour or so too. Alright, let's see if these will pull up without me using the hairdryer. Alright, I think that's it. I think that was a really lovely little sweet adventure, playing with polar bear and honouring them for International Polar Bear Day. Alright, make sure that you keep sketching, that you stay curious and compassionate, and that you let your creativity connect you to what is wild and wondrous in this world, like these sweet beings. Can you even believe we get to share a planet with them? How lucky are we? Just amazing. All right, I'll see you next week.